from the University of Southern California. I'd like to close by doing something special, which is, excuse me. Whoa. As the president of the Stovall Foundation, which is the oldest private foundation in LA County. This is our 90th year. Dr. Leonard Stovall was the first African-American physician to have been hired in the LA City and County healthcare system in 1920. And we celebrate our 90th year this year. And April was the month that Stovall Foundation was incorporated as the Outdoor Life and Health Association in California. So I want to give you just a small token. We're engaging in really, if you will, a branding campaign right now. So this is one of the things that we have to give to people that we love. So this is a picture of Dr. Leonard Stovall. There may be some of you in the room who are familiar with the debutante ball and social services that Stovall conducted over the years. But if you're not, you're going to hear more because I've got a crack group of board members who are really devoted to helping some of the things that are. Without further ado, I want to give this to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
This is a working presentation. Take out your brain. It's on your first page. Take out your brain. We're going to work. Okay, I'm going to go sit down. But we want you to have a fine brain. All right, look at the brain. This is your frontal cortex. This over your ear is your temporal lobe. The parietal lobe is right here. Your brain has 4 lobes on each side, but they're parallel. Same names, but right and left. And in the middle, you see the brain stem. I want you to color this. And as you're coloring, everybody who's cooperating, I will give you another brain, especially for you. So, Lorraine, will you pass out these brains so everyone can have 2? Everyone? Yes, everyone can have 2. If I want to make sure they're coloring, they have to work. Whatever color your genius is in, your coloring. Color all of it. Yes, I divided it in different ways so you would not have a problem. You can identify what's what. And then we're going to talk about where memory is in the hippocampus. So you can make your lobes whatever you like. Yes, ma'am. Okay, this is the brain. I want you to color the occipital lobe a color. You choose. The temporal lobe that's over your ear, a different color. And this frontal lobe right here, that's a different lobe. The parietal lobe right here in the middle, a different lobe. Okay. And I'm going to take a color and I will, huh? I am looking at the temporal lobe. I'm coloring it in. Now, Fred, how do I get to the first slide? Screen share. Did I not tell you I'm computer challenged? Oh, that part. How do you get to the first slide? Somebody's asking me how.
That's Michael. There's a page down.
Okay.
Next one.
Who's talking over here?
That's your recording.
Yeah, somebody's talking. Okay, the title of this workshop is Memory and Aging, Grace for an Unexpected Journey. And it's a very unexpected journey when we lose our memory. Fred, this is not moving.
Page down.
Page down. Oh, okay. Okay, page down. Okay, page down. Okay, page down. I got it. So memory and aging, grace for an unexpected journey. Isaiah 41:10 is our theme scripture. And it says, don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my victorious right hand. And we need that scripture. Dementia is nothing nice. What kind of disease is Alzheimer's? It's an irreversible, progressive brain disease. Progressive brain disease. It slowly destroys your memory, the ability to carry out simple tasks. It sometimes prevents you from remembering even how to eat, how to go to the bathroom, how to dress yourself. It's a very insidious disease. And I want to talk a little bit about your brain. On one side, we have the healthy brain. And on the other side, we have the Alzheimer's brain. Now, as you're coloring a healthy brain. Well, because you can't see inside, but I'm telling you, it's a healthy one. This is how far I'm gone. Let me see yours. I want to see your work. Ah, Dolores, yay. Okay. Okay, you guys are doing good. Now, you're doing good, Janice. Keep going. Okay, what happens in this brain? You see these little cells on the healthy brain in blue? Let's look at the other side where it is not a healthy brain for Alzheimer's disease. That brain gets caught up. The cells become entangled, which is called tie. There's also something called beta amyloid that sticks to the brain and it clumps. It's called a sticky substance. And that's what they think causes Alzheimer's. You can, oh, I'm sorry. I'm using my hand instead of the microphone. Okay. So did you hear what I said about the brain, the cells? There's something called beta amyloid, and they feel that it's a sticky substance, and it's sticky substance, and it attaches to the brain cell. Mm-hmm. And there's another problem they call tau that attaches to the dendrites, and it forms what they call a coating like, and that causes even more damage. But let me tell you, there's people who die and they do autopsies and they have all this and yet they don't have Alzheimer's. So scientists really don't know what really causes it. This is what they think causes it. This is what they have drugs. And I'm going to talk a little more about drugs that we have that seem to help, but there's no perfectly formed rationale for Alzheimer's. It's only what they think. And that the drugs do seem to help. So how many Americans have Alzheimer's? There's a lot of different kinds of thoughts. Some people, some scientists say 5 million, some say more than 6 million. And unless this disease can be effectively treated or prevented, the number of people will increase significantly as Americans begin to age. So we're looking at more and more people having it. Especially, they think it starts at around age 60. But those people who don't have it and they're over 85, they think 50% of the people over 85 will get Alzheimer's. That's really scary. 85. And how many can live to 85? Most women are targeted to live to 88. So, you know, we think about it. Our brains are a little different than the man's brain. The man's brain is a little larger than the woman's brain. A lot of men think that makes them smarter. But you know, the brain is made of fat and water. So they have a fat head. So that's all it is men are not necessarily smarter than women. How long can a person live with Alzheimer's disease? Well, it's a slow disease. We know that it happens in 3 stages, or at least they develop 3 stages that seem to fit in the context of Alzheimer's. Dr. Alzheimer's, the disease is named for a doctor. In 1901, he had a patient who he thought was mentally ill because she had a lot of difficulties. And when she died, they did an autopsy on her brain, and they found that it was filled with these little plaques, amyloid. And that's how the name Alzheimer's was developed. So in the first stage is, they call it preclinical. There's usually no symptoms. They even believe that starts in people's 60s, and that it's not really recognized because short and long-term memory is still present, but people forget things. Little things, not much. But in that middle stage, there's mild cognitive impairment, meaning that they're repeating themselves a lot. They are forgetting how to go places. You might be driving on Western and you want to go to Crenshaw and you're on Western, so you're not going to ever get there. And then that final stage of Alzheimer's is when everything has gone wrong. You don't remember anything in your environment. You probably don't remember close relatives. You don't remember how to dress yourself. Some people even forget how to eat. Bowel accidents occur, and it really has, that's the most severe problem at that stage. Now, from time to diagnosis to death varies. If it's an early disease, say in your 60s or 70s, a lot of people live 10 or more years. But if you're over 80, the disease seems to run its course in about 3 or 4 years. I'm sorry? I said, if you're over 80, the disease seems to progress quicker and you live 3 to 4 years. Is the mic on? Can you hear me? Okay. Huh? Oh, would you guys prefer the bigger screen? Can you come over on this side and you would be able to see better? Okay, so again, what is dementia? And I'm going to repeat things because I think we need to hear them more than once. And I have a little gift if you remember from before. So it's a loss of cognitive functioning, thinking, remembering, reasoning, behavioral abilities to such an extent that it interferes with a person's daily activities and functioning. Dementia ranges in severely to the mildest stage when it is just beginning to affect a person's functioning. Just maybe you might want to repeat what you said, or you're in the car, you are going along, the person asks you the same things 2 or 3 times, and you think, what? But in that severe stage, you recognize, oh, something's really wrong. They may forget how to dress themselves, look in a mirror and think there is, when they see their reflection, think there's a intruder in the house. Yes. Well, actually, Alzheimer's is a form of dementia. So it's not which one comes first. Dementia sometimes is an organic disease, but dementia from Alzheimer's is a little different. There are different kinds of dementias, which Alzheimer's is one of them. So we look at the causes of dementia, and it depends on the type of brain changes. Other dementias are called Lewy body dementia, frontal lobe disorders. And where did I show you? Hold up your frontal lobe. Okay. All right. Yeah, all right. All right. You all perfect. All perfect. Great. Okay. And vascular dementia. It's common for people to have a mixture, Pam, listen to this, a mixture of two or more dementias, at least one of them, which is Alzheimer's, or you can have Alzheimer's and vascular. Vascular, we see a lot because of strokes. Annette, your question. The broader term, yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, it's mhm.
And Alzheimer's is one of those, and everything after that for other diseases.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, we're going to talk about that.
We're gonna have Q&A after, so they're gonna know your questions, so you can get through the break. Okay, thank you.
But I want you now, you guys have finished that. I want you to sign your brain with your left hand. Use your non-dominant hand. If you are left-handed, use your right hand. If you're right-handed, use your left. So I want you to sign your name, just your first name, because it's a little hard for us. Sign your first name with your non-dominant hand. Well, that's okay because you remember. Sign it on your brain. You got your, okay. Okay, look at that signature. Do you remember it from kindergarten? Yes. The brain remembers. So you signed from kindergarten. Congratulations. Okay, other causes of dementia. Medication side effects, chronic alcoholism, tumors or infections in the brain, blood clots in the brain. This is really interesting. Vitamin B12 deficiency. Who would have known? Some thyroid, kidney, or liver disorders, stroke, Parkinson's disease, sleep disturbances. Now, Parkinson's disease sometimes is found along with Lewy body. Okay, I've told you before, Alzheimer's disease progressed in several stages. What were the stages? All right, Kathy, you win the prize. Come on up. That's all right. You could have read too, but she did read. Come on up and get your prize. Signs of mild Alzheimer's disease.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can include memory loss, poor judgment. Poor judgment is what we see people decide, oh, I'm not going to pay this bill. It's too high. Unfortunately, I had a friend call up the electric company and said the bill was too high, turn it off. So her daughter was just unhappy. The water was turned off, the electric was turned off, everything, because she decided the bills were too high. Poor judgment. Or deciding not to pay the tax bill. I'm sorry. I don't know. I can't figure him out. People have trouble handling money. That's why when you go to your loved one's house and you see the bills have piled up and nothing has gotten paid, and they just have trouble. They're not able to handle things in an orderly function. And they lose things, and they're putting things in an odd place. And sometimes we do too. I just found, I was looking for the Wesson oil the other day, and it was in my refrigerator. So I knew I was a hypochondriac because I got all the signs of Alzheimer's. Mood and personality changes. Somebody who's always nice turns into a sourpuss, mean, the patient from hell. Who is that person? Increased anxiety and aggression. Then you look at the moderate signs. Even though we have all those signs in the beginning, the preclinical stage, that moderate stage is increased memory loss, confusion, difficulty in language, problems with reading and writing. Some people read the same page over and over because they can't get to page 2 because they forgot what they read on page 1. Short attention span, difficulty learning things that are new, difficulty multitasking, or doing coordinated steps. You know, a lot of people like to line dance, and you suddenly, they can't coordinate. Now, see, you would never be able to use that on me because I never could coordinate and be rhythmic. But for the person who was rhythmic and who could do the line dancing, when suddenly they stop because they don't remember the next step, that's something that you should look at. Problems recognizing family, friends, and then sometimes they start hallucinating because they see things, their environment has changed. And it's real hard when you're in a different environment. It's like you have gone to a foreign country by yourself and not know the language or the customs. So everything is new. That environment is foreign to them. So what happens when you're in a foreign environment? You get scared. You get scared. And when we're scared, what do we do? We withdraw or we are aggressive. We might want to fight because we feel that we are under attack, or we have that cortisol response when it's fight, freeze, or flee. So when they're wandering, they're trying to get to something where they know. And then the repeated statements, repetitive. oh, isn't that a beautiful flower? And you say, yes. And then 2 minutes, oh, isn't that flower beautiful? Yes. Did I tell you that flower is beautiful? Yes.
What would you like to take care of activity? For example, your life, or somebody who works a lot with other people. Are there particular categories within what we're discussing that there might either be a breakdown or an acceleration
All right. My understanding, your question is if you're a writer or if you, any profession that you're in, is there an acceleration of symptomatology? I don't think there's an acceleration necessarily because you're in a profession, but I do know that if you have Alzheimer's and you're like one of the doctors I used to work with, he was brilliant, brilliant man, but he got very, very aggressive. But what his wife could do was put on one of his lectures and he'd sit there, or a lecture about the brain. He'd sit there for hours, fascinated, because whatever connection in that brain for what he used to do, he could remember. The same thing with music, and I will show you a video about that a little later. Okay. Severe signs of Alzheimer's disease. This is towards the end stage. Weight loss. Why do you think they have weight loss? Not eating, not eating. They forget how to eat. They forget how to use utensils, or they regress to using their fingers because, number one, what do you think? Why? Easy. And your hand you recognize. And sometimes they have difficulty swallowing. If you have difficulty swallowing, you don't want to eat. You don't want to drink. This says increasing sleeping. Sometimes it's the opposite. They don't sleep. They want to wander at night. A lot of accidents with bowel and bladder control. Skin infections. Some people even have seizures. Not recognizing family members at this point. Not even sometimes recognizing themselves. Genetics. If you have a first-degree relative, which means a biological parent, biological sibling, sister, brother, with Alzheimer's disease, your risk of developing the condition increases 10 to 30%. People with 2 or more siblings with late onset Alzheimer's disease are 3 times more likely to develop the condition than the general population. So that's kind of scary because all of us have at least somebody in the family. Having Down syndrome also increases the risk for early onset of Alzheimer's. So genetics, they're telling us what to watch out for, and we're going to talk about some things that we can do to kind of prevent. I'd like to share a story. I went to a ladies' conference, a women's conference, about 3 years ago, and I met a lady there, and she said her 78-year-old father got cured from Alzheimer's. I've never heard of anybody cured from Alzheimer's, so I thought, So she named the doctor, she named the school, UCLA School of Medicine. So I went home and looked at the study, and sure enough, this physician had 13 patients that he had in a study. And these 13 patients, he, from age 49 to 80, it was very interesting. He gave them oxygen so many times a week. They had the Mediterranean diet. They could not cook any food in anything but glass dishes. They had to do exercises on a daily basis, and they had to socialize every day with other people. And at the end of the year, her father was cured. He didn't go back, but the youngest patient, the 49-year-old, went to full-blown Alzheimer's. The problem with that study, they haven't been able to replicate it. So some people said he just selected good candidates. I don't know. I know that Medicare now, after listening to the lady, I was listening on the radio, and I just happened to be on a station that this guy was a part of Medicare, and Medicare has selected so many seniors that they are now looking at changing diet, and they are sending food to this section of people from age, I think, 70 to 80. And this is the third year, and they're trying to see if the Medicare diet the Mediterranean diet changes the progression of any disease. Now, I don't know, but I thought that was very, very interesting. But the fact that they couldn't replicate it, we all know when you look at statistics or research, if it's a valid research, it should be able to be replicated. But I thought it was interesting enough to bring it to your attention. So how is Alzheimer's diagnosed? Pam, this is your question. How do they do it? In the beginning of an Alzheimer's diagnosis, a provider will ask questions to better understand how your health and daily living is, your overall health. Current medications, your medical history, ability to carry out daily activities. They want to know what you're doing. How are you doing? How well are you doing? What are the changes in your behavior, your mood, and personality? So you wouldn't want to send your person to a provider by themselves. You need to go and explain what the problems are you see. And the doctor or your provider will perform a physical exam or neurological exam or both. And they perform a mental status exam. They'll ask them, who's the president? What year is it today? See if they're oriented to time, place. And then they will ask them some other questions. Like I can ask you, if I give you 3 words, let's see if you can remember them. Book, Cadillac, woman. Now, as we go on, they will look at other standard medical tests, such as blood, urine tests, and they rule out other symptoms. Can you remember the 3 words without writing them down? Okay, you're all right for today. The other thing is, can you fold this paper in a diagonal shape? That's just a test. They also do, as I said, blood and urine tests. They do brain imaging, such as CT scans, MRI, positron emission tomography. All these support possible brain conditions. You got your diagonal papers? All right, all right. You're good for today. Management and treatment. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, it may be a past organization with this new administration we have, but right now it does exist. So they've approved a couple of drugs to treat symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. Yes, one of them is cholinesterase inhibitors and NDA antagonists. Now, these have been approved by Adulam, the first disease modifying therapy for Alzheimer's. Aducanumab is a new medication, and it helps people with early Alzheimer's. These drugs, one is it attaches itself to the receptors so that it doesn't let things in. So that keeps the person functioning at a better level. And then the other one may be what they call an agonist, which lets more things into the receptor. It activates it. So let's look at the first one, Aricept, which is called donepezil. It's approved to treat moderate to severe Alzheimer's. Now, it does work. I don't know if any of your people have taken Aricept. Pam, you're shaking your head. It didn't work? Rivestamine it's called Exelon. That's a very good drug too. And there's galantamine. It's supposed to be really good. And it works by blocking the acetylcholinase, the enzyme responsible for destroying acetylcholine, and that's one of the chemicals that help the nerve cells communicate. And if they're destroyed, then the nerve cells can't communicate. It's just like, you remember on that first slides, we had the cells, and it had the dendrites all over. They have to connect. And if these things are destroyed, then the brain can't regenerate. Now, the brain, we have lots of brain cells. And some people think they don't generate, but I think they do. But do they generate at the same speed they did when we were kids? No. But they do regenerate. And I think that's going to be a way where we can help Alzheimer's, because we can make new connections when the old ones die. Then they have other ones. This is MDA antagonist. This is the one, it helps for treating moderate to severe. These drugs have to be administered intravenously, and I think some of them take about 40 minutes. They've had some good success. Not all people seem to be successful, but I think it's worth a try. You have to talk louder.
Early in the conversation, there was a discussion of the clinical setting. set of instructions. To what extent does therapy play a role when the diagnosis is essentially clear?
Talk therapy? Are you talking about talk therapy or medication?
You touched on it, taking therapy in the matter, particularly with the diet between the provider and the patient.
So you're talking about talk therapy mainly. Mm, I don't think talk therapy is going to work on this. I don't know of any that they've even suggested it. However, I don't know. That's a question. Dolores?
So that is, Alzheimer's preventable?
No, not yet, but they think we could stave it off. It's not preventable, but we don't think it has to happen. And when it does, if it's treated early enough, then some of the drugs really work.
Yeah. Coloring, the puzzle.
Yeah, we'll talk about those too. So I want to talk about the monoclonal antibodies. They can help the body's immune system target and destroy the amyloid proteins. That's what I talked about at first, that sticky substance that clumps together on the brain. Like all other treatments, monoclonal antibodies aren't a cure. There's no real cure, although they think there's a new drug that's called lecanemab, and it's called Leqembi. And that's the first disease modifying drugs. It was approved in July. And it's supposed to be significant benefit by slowing cognitive decline in people with mild cognitive functioning. I don't know, but that's something. And it received approval in 2021. And those are Leqembi, Canusla. Those are those drugs. And then we have prevention. This is what you want to know, prevention. Yes. Know if they've changed the diet. And I don't know. I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't see, although people say diet change is really, really good, but then we see people who eat everything, drink everything, and they're fine. And then other people don't. So it is an individual thing. But I don't think it would hurt to change your diet. I don't think if you have 2 or 3 close relatives with Alzheimer's, meaning first degree, your sister, brother, father, mother, maybe changing your diet would be good. Okay, so the risk factors: age, genetic, trauma from head injury, depression, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, smoking, obesity, and vaping is included in the smoking too. Yeah. Vaping.
Oh, vaping.
Vaping, yes. So you want to keep active as much as possible. And look at brain gains. People notice the effect on aging on the brain. The memory becomes less liable. Multitasking may not be as easy, but they found that exercising at least 50 minutes a week may help delay cognitive decline. So what's 50 minutes a week? That's like 30 minutes a day. Can we all do 30 minutes a day? Well, no, I'm thinking of 5-day week. 10 minutes a day at the end of 5 days is 50 minutes. I said 150 minutes.
Oh.
150. Your 10 minutes a day is not going to do it. But they said you don't have to do the whole 50 minutes or the whole 30 minutes. You can do it at, you can break it up. I think we need to think about this. The body movement does exercise the brain. And then there are brain exercises. Various type of brain exercise. Computerized brain games may benefit the executive function of your brain. You know, where is that? The frontal cortex. Yes. You want to engage that by playing games. How many of you played the Wordle? How many of you even heard of Wordle? That's a good game to play. How many use the LA Times crossword puzzles? Even putting together puzzles. Processing speed is important. How fast does your brain learn new things? Yes.
Whether you retired or whether you're actually working, that you're doing a lot of the same kind of activity. And challenge part really allows you to mentally express inertia. Those people who know me know that I was never retired. And I will tell you that, and I'm not trying to make a testimony. What I've observed is that going into a new setting that allows you to use transferable skills in a new setting.
Transferring skills in new settings that's very important, as well as going in new settings and adjusting, learning new skills, memorizing your shopping list that you use or phone numbers. We put phone numbers in our phones and don't remember phone numbers. We need to remember phone numbers. I can remember credit card numbers. If I use my credit card, I know that number. It's getting a little fuzzy now, but I can do it. I don't think that's computes. But it's how fast your brain receives information and understands it. And your brain is a wonderful organ. It can learn. That's why it's important that we're in settings, new settings, settings that you're uncomfortable. Change is always uncomfortable, but we do it because we learn. And as you keep learning those brain connections, take your crayon out again, and on the back, make a cell, which is a circle, and make some connections make 2 cells, and put some dendrites on there and connect them. let those brain connections be fired up. And again, crossword puzzles are a good option, and it's one of the most studied thinking game for its effect on aging. Any activity that requires your attention, focus, and engagement challenges the brain, and the brain will come up to where it's supposed to be because you challenged it. If you keep doing nothing, you're going to get nothing. Now, I don't particularly like crossword puzzles. My husband loved it. He did it. My mom did them. Betty does them. I don't. I'm on this game with the New York Times called Strands. And it's like a puzzle, not quite, but it's challenging my brain. I had to call my sister. I don't know how to do this. What's wrong? And so I was on the phone with her about 10 minutes last night doing strands. So now I can do it by myself. I just want you to know the brain is learning. But that's what we have to do. We have to challenge our brain for something new.
They sit all day, most of the day, and talking to them. No activity. They need, don't they need like that type of stimulation, conversation?
Conversation, if you can't do conversation, music, put on, I don't know, what about old pictures, old movies? Have you ever thought about those kind of things to keep them active?
Start a project. Okay, if you start a new project, projects have phases. They have the research, the planning, the conceptualization. If it's something that potentially you think you might make some money from, there's the talent of learning how to sell it. So I think if we look at something for the holistic, that you have to be very active in the implementation of the components. Seems to me that you're really doing a lot.
You are doing a lot of work, but for the person who has full-blown Alzheimer's, you can't give them a lot of things, but for prevention, I think that's a good idea to increase your learning to do things differently. But for a person with Alzheimer's, too much coming in is it was make them more nervous. Annette and then Yvonne. You guys need the, Barbara, can you get the, yeah.
Wasn't line dancing, but they were just dancing around with other people. And they said that helped them. And the other thing is, even if you're retired, you can do projects for planning, you can do other activities that are related to working. And it's, I love homework. Hope they are, I'm doing the whole book. And I've always liked it. But I really observed them dancing. They could dance in circles and then they go back and they were talking and everything. And I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yvonne?
I'm not past all the time, and my uncle had it, and I know how to deal with it. Maybe rest with them people all the time. You have to love them, take them out and do things with them. Don't sit up in the house and you listen to things on the phone and your mother want to come up. You start crying when I leave. All the time. I've been around a long time with my uncle when he was living. It's more dance with her and listen to church music, and she loved to dance with the music. And that's what I like about being around people that have Alzheimer's, and you can know more about.
So you're saying the same thing, movement is important. Um, they have a lot of these adult daycares. I don't know what they do in adult daycares. I know what they're supposed to do. If they did what they're supposed to do, they would be really good. And that is socialization, um, playing games with them, moving with them. All those things help keep the person where they are. And managing behavioral changes like this is what Yvonne was talking about, maintaining a familiar environment. Don't change your room layout every other day because the person needs something familiar. Don't organize even the kitchen. If you organize that different, if you keep organized, reorganizing the house, this makes it even a more foreign environment. Monitor their comfort because they're not going to tell you if they're cold or hot. You have to do some things to see. Provide comfort objects, sometimes a favorite stuffed animal or blanket. My aunt didn't have Alzheimer's, but she had a doll that she liked. She had diabetes, she was blind, and had some other health issues on dialysis. So things were really tough for her, but she liked this doll. And I always wanted to make sure that she had that doll with her. And that gave her comfort. And sometimes that's what, it may not be something you would want, but you see that they like it. If they like it, then you keep it.
Young children have that same kind of conversation, as well as people who are a little older, let's say, maybe even mildly mentally challenged, shall we say. I mean, is there a commonality or an intentional?
I don't know about that because my aunt was, as I say, was blind, but she was working on her PhD. So she was a very bright lady. But because of her illness and living in Iowa, she stopped with her PhD because she couldn't find people to type her papers without, that's in the old days when we had typewriters. And in Iowa, they brought her grade down for typos, even though she was blind. You know, racism was alive and well, but she was a very bright woman, but she did want that doll. So I hear you saying childlike behavior, but I think it's more childhood comfort. So you try to avoid confrontation. If they're not ready to eat their lunch or breakfast, try again in 20 minutes. You know, they forget that they said no or that they didn't want Cheerios. And then you give them Cheerios 2 minutes later and they're fine with them. You don't have to always correct their speech, or you don't have to tell them that so-and-so died 50 times. You know, why have them be sad each time? You don't have to correct that. So,
Very good.
so I said on here, no medicine has been approved for the management of behavioral symptoms, but really it has. That Leqembi has been approved just recently. It's gotten full approval for managing aggression. So what do you do living with this? Caring for someone with Alzheimer's can have significant physical, emotional and financial costs on you, not just the person who has it. Because what happens when you have a person who has that in there that you have to take care of? May have to stop working. And where's that income going to come from? And then you may have to go to a lot of doctor's appointments, even if you're managing to stay on your job. Who takes them to 100 doctor's appointments? Who can do all the monitoring of the symptoms to report back to tell the doctor? And if you don't tell the doctor, how is he or she going to know how to treat your person? So it's important that you keep a symptomatology book just to say how the person is doing. Have you ever been to the doctor and you had a problem before you got there, and you got there and nothing was wrong?
Mm-hmm. Call Murphy's Law.
I used to go with my husband to the doctor, and he would get there. Men, they're notorious for saying, "Oh, I'm fine." And then I have a whole list to say, "No, he has this, this, and this." And he said, "Oh, okay." But it's good to let the provider know what's going on. They can help you if they know what's going on. Then what do you do for your stress? Yeah, we have to think about your stress. So they're saying, consider going to a support group. What does a support group do for you? Allows you to vet. It allows, it's a catharsis, let you to get it all out. Absolutely. It's generalizing. You're not the only person going through these symptoms. I can hear you, Susan. You can learn from the other people. And your comment would to learn. Janice?
It helps you. Support group lets you not only vent, but it says those people who have been successful with whatever the problem is. It helps to know that, oh, yeah, I see that, oh, I didn't know that would help. You learn what things work. You also learn that, oh, I'm sorry. Just in case. Okay. You also, okay, you also learn that you don't have to know it all.
Yes.
And you can be fine like that.
You don't have to know it all. And you know, one thing, you don't have to always have them eat what you want them to eat. If they would like something else, or if that's all you have, wrap up that sandwich and put it in the fridge for a few minutes, and then you bring it out a little later.
I'm always thinking that the person who is bothered with the Alzheimer or whatever is seeking to feel okay. So you can let that person know that it's okay not to know this. It's okay not to know that, whatever. Something they used to love to do.
This is a really important thing, that is okay. They don't feel distress because they don't know everything. Not distress if they're on another street and they're supposed to be somewhere else. If they're lost and you find them, it's okay. How do we help people feel okay? Saying it for one thing, reassuring them that they're loved, reassuring them that you're going to take care of them. They don't have to know everything. Stay on an even keel. You don't get excited, they don't have to get excited. That you're not alone. One of the things that's always helpful to anybody is when you're frightened, that you're not alone. When you're anxious, that someone's there to help you calm down. When you're lost, you're found. And when they are angry or upset, you try to redirect them, take them to another room, and they forget about it. And just try to accept the behavior and redirect it into a better method, a new way. Janice?
Should I wait? Anyway,
Go ahead, use the mic though.
being believed in what you are seeing, what you're doing. I've experienced that so many times with my family. I remember when I used to get upset with my grandmother because she said she would see things, and my aunt would say, "No, you didn't see that," and just so what if she's not willing to now talk to her, because you don't believe me anyway. So that you bring in, she could be right. Oh, just give it a sort of a belief anyway, even if you don't believe worse.
Yes, even though you may not, it's not necessary to correct people. It's very interesting because we are socialized when something is wrong to tell them the right way to do it, that this is not the proper way. But we don't have to do that now. We don't have to do it with the person who has Alzheimer's. We just accept, or if it's something dangerous, we redirect. And there's certain medications that may help, antidepressants. You can see why people will be depressed when you can't remember anything. Make you very anxious, restless, aggressive. And they have anti-anxiety drugs. They can treat, again, agitation, anti-convulsant drugs. These can also, they've been used to treat aggression, antipsychotics, neuroleptics. They can treat paranoia, hallucination. It's very frightening when you think there are little green people in the room with you, or somebody's coming down from the ceiling. Those things are frightening, and they do have medication, but with medication comes problems. Sometimes it doesn't fit the person. So you might have to try different medication. So how does this disease usually progress? What are the signs and symptoms do I need to watch out from? What are treatments are available? Are there any clinical trials? This is something you should ask your doctor. What do I need to do to make my loved one comfortable? What do I need to do to make the living spaces comfortable and safe? Do I need to put double locks on the door? Is the person a wanderer? And if they got out, would they be able to find the way back home? Who do they know? Would they know to tell someone to call? Do they remember phone numbers anymore? Do you have any identifiable things on their clothing? Have you put, you can put a chain or a bracelet on their arms? Yes. What else could you do to keep your person safe? Well, I just learned with like my wallet, because I don't take a lot of things with me anymore. So my wallet has my ID in it, but it doesn't have anybody to call. I don't have an emergency number in there. So I've started putting an emergency number on my in my wallet just in case. This is important. Who would know who to call? But how do they get ice? They can't open it. Yes, but if they can open your phone, can they open your phone? What on the back of your phone? Oh, emergency sticker on the back of your phone. Okay, Annette. And then Susan.
And he fell one time at, they just went in his pocket. And I was first. And when they couldn't reach me, because
So you've done that with family members. Thick letters. Yeah, sometimes we need to do it in the wallet. Sometimes if we have a wanderer, we may need to attach something on their clothing. We had a friend who died at a restaurant. She was having lunch and nobody knew where she was for days. She died at the restaurant and they took her body away. They had her phone, but calling her house, nobody ever answered. So that didn't work. And the family started calling hospitals. She wasn't at the hospital. It was the worst nightmare to find that she had died right in the fast food place that she had went for lunch. I don't know if it was Jack in the Box, but it was close. It was close. I feel you. It wasn't good. Who can help? Yeah, a bracelet would help, but if your person goes out, I would make sure they had something on that clothing that gave a number to call. You can put it in their pocket or you can, they have things you can just attach. Simple things. Yes. You need the mic because you are too soft.
Nowadays they have sensors you probably put on your clothes.
Air tags. Yes. Apple AirTag.
Oh, yeah.
Inform the public that if a person falls out, that there is the need to, let's say. In other words, that's a training issue. That's a training.
Well,
issue.
I think they did when this person fell out at the fast food store. The EMTs looked through when they took her body to the morgue.
Sure. No, I'm with you. but I'm just simply saying that that's kind of an isolated situation in the sense that the, the volume, the percentage of people who potentially are susceptible to this particular condition, it would seem that there should be more public information about ways of recognizing just as a citizen, so that it, like you say, your friend isn't a statistic for 30 days or 40 days or what have you. That's a tragic thing for a family to.
It was.
Find it out. That's horrible. That's one of the worst things that can happen.
They found it out in about 3 days, but it was still bad. I think though they have what they call silver alerts. I just got one. A couple days ago, some man had wandered away from the boarding care. But had he had something on his collar or something, they could have easily called. So what are your options for further assessments? You want to get a good assessment. So they have geriatricians, there's geriatric psychiatrists and neurological doctors and neuropsychologists, all these people who specialize in abnormalities and emotions of older adults. So you can look at those. What are the benefits of early diagnosis? Well, if you have an early diagnosis, it helps people with Alzheimer's and their family. One of the things, planning for the future. If you know you have Alzheimer's, get your will together, get your estate planning. Don't wait. You can take care of financial and legal matters, and you address potential safety issues. What happens if I get lost? Who do I call? Who do I have for emergency contact? What about living arrangement? Do I need a memory care facility? You know, there are memory care facilities. Or how long can I stay at home? What if I had a daily skilled worker come in to help me with my daily activities from 8 to 5? Could I live at home? Would I be frightened at night by myself? Can I continue to live alone? What if I moved into an apartment of independent living, but this apartment had a next stage that had memory care? Could I afford that?
Similar kinds of concerns.
Wait a minute. We need it on.
No, I'm just raising an issue that COVID brought out a lot of those concerns of people being found in conditions where they didn't have a support system. And unfortunately, when COVID essentially was remediated to a degree, a lot of the things that we were really focused on about people being isolated, for example, about situations that happen that just are quick onset, because COVID was to some degree an early onset condition. So all I'm saying is it would really be good situations like that, and with the president we have, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that there could be, uncontrollable circumstances that occur. It would be really good if some of the lessons learned from previous circumstances like this could be applied, so people could have. I'm just really concerned about the knowledge of the people who are not in the condition and how they essentially create at least an unofficial safety net for the people that are going through this.
Yeah, we really don't have a safety net, especially if you do not have family members or caretakers. And we have the Eaton fires. A lot of the people who died in those fires were people who lived alone and perhaps could not understand or get out in time. Some of the people in Palisades, I think, were fighting the fires. But in Eaton, there were a lot of care homes in that area. And the firemen had to carry people out. And I remember reading, two people were left in a retirement facility, and this lady called her son. And he drove, he said, like a madman, 10 miles away, and he got there and the place was on fire. He just fought his way to his mom's room and had to carry her out. But we have not had good plans.
Father and son, they both were disabled, they didn't make it out either.
I was just thinking about school, all the school children, thank you. School children practice. So I think that's what's missing. If you know that it's hard for whoever's there at this particular place, it's hard for them to get around or hard for them to get out, then you should have a practice. Where are, if trouble comes up, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? The loved one. So it needs to be practiced.
Good point, Janice. I think I always practiced when my children were young for fire drills in the house. There are things that you are to do. You are to get out. This is what where are you going to go? If there's an earthquake, what we're going to do. And we practice that.
To reunite.
Absolutely. So if you have an elderly person who can't do that planning, you have to do it for them. You have to have a plan. You have to have extra medication in a particular location that you can probably get to, not just for fire or earthquake, but because there may be something else. They're flash floods. It's just interesting that we don't prepare. How many of us have our important documents online where you can get to them? How many of us have done the planning we're telling you to do today for Alzheimer's? We need to do for ourselves. Now, some of the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease is sleeplessness. They don't sleep. And if you don't sleep either, that may be a sign that you're having problems. The brain needs you to sleep in order for it to function. You need to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I don't, but I get somewhere close to it, 6. But optimal is 7 to 8. So I'm going to try a little better. But sleep, now, as I told you, we really don't know what the causes are for this disease. But they think taking care of your brain is important. Sleep lets your brain regenerate. Being upset, wandering, agitation, anxiety, aggression, restlessness, depression, all that is not good for your brain. So that's why we're telling you to treat those symptoms. Now, scientists are learning why these symptoms are occurring, and they're studying new treatments, drug and non-drugs, to manage them. Now, you said, Lance, about non-drug therapy. Non-drug therapy that may work is socialization, dance, movement, communication exercises. These kind of things may help the brain regenerate. Changing your routine. Why do you think I had to use your non-dominant hand to write? You're not used to it. And it teaches your brain that this is a hand to use. You also should do this in the mornings in your shower. Use your non-dominant hand to squeeze that shower wall down or the shower door. Use your non-dominant hand for a lot of small chores. That is reintroducing your brain to new things.
Making adjustments.
Medicines used with caution with people with Alzheimer's. Sleep aids, sometimes that can be difficult. Anti-anxiety drugs, anti-convulsion, all these things work, but they have to be used with caution because it may make some people's systems worse. But they do work. And I wanted to talk about music therapy and kind of end with that. Where is Fred? Fred, oh, there you are. I'm almost ready to play the last video. Okay. Remember when King Saul was experiencing anxiety and depression, he would send for David to play the harp? Because musical perception is processed throughout the entire brain, music activates all areas of the brain tissue during both receptive and expressive musical behavior. So music memory, therefore, is stored throughout the brain, which means it's accessible even in the late stages of memory disorders, when only some brain tissue is still capable of functioning normally. So most people have a normal, positive relationship with music, and it will bring back that long-term memory. Have you, we had a lay meeting last week, and our chaplain is old school prayer. And then she starts singing, I Shall Not Be Moved. We all joined in. I hadn't heard I Shall Not Be Moved in 20 years, I'm sure, but it was beautiful. It brought back those memories. You're going to do research on memory and music. Use the mic.
But I've been planning for about 6 months to do research on the relationship between the music and memory. For example, during slavery times, the great spirituals had a very, very significant role in the survival of African Americans, for example. It was somewhat symbolic, but it was very, very active, and it was something that caused people to create essentially a meta language using music as the framework.
Okay. And studies have shown that music therapy and non-pharmacological treatment pose fewer side effects. So research on music therapy decreases depression, improves mood, decrease anxiety, agitation, decrease medicine use. It increased alertness and orientation. So I'm going to show you this film. Fred? It's short, if we can get it up. Okay. Okay, Pam, and I wanted you to think about those Arisep and Donald's surprise. Okay, because those are ones I am familiar with and they do work. Oh, there's questions. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Better in the beginning stage, really. What? Oh. What's happening?
It's warm in here.
Feels good to me.
Let's see.
There you go.
Music. My heart belongs to music. I love it. You ever had music just hits you in a place? Thank you. Brought you to tears. Music has that. Music connects people with who they have been, who they are, and their life. Imagines a human to be a very complicated machine. We have medicines that can adjust the diet. Blood pressure, blood sugar, we haven't done anything.
What's happening?
One resident that.
You're all right. We'll get it.
Didn't respond. It went for 2 years. Once we put the iPod on her, we started taking her feet, started moving her head. It was.
I love it. It's all the things that fail with me. Thank you, all this amazing pill. This is imagines a human to be a very complicated machine. We have medicines that can adjust the diet. Blood pressure. Does anything to touch.
And that barely opened her eyes, didn't respond. It went for 2 years. Once we put the iPod on her, we started taking her feet, started moving. It was amazing. By exciting or awakening those pathways, we have a gateway to stimulate.
Did you see her eyes? Did you see that light up?
Hmm. Yes.
Get away from me. It's like in this.
Right beyond the book. There's experience holds in very important learnings and lessons. There is no pill that does it. Tears of joy. I thought you were gonna grow wings.
I was trying.
Okay. you know, during my parents' transition to heaven, we played music. We played the old hymns, and some of the new ones, but it really were the old ones that my mom seemed to get peace with. And then with my husband, we played Going to Meet the King, and we were singing as he made his transition. And I think there's something in music that can't really be identified why it helps, but it connects. And those, remember I told you to make those cells on the back of your paper and the dendrites, it makes those synapses fire. And we don't know why. I read a study, Ellie is a part, my daughter back there is a part of Toastmasters, and she did a study on language. And I found it in part of my study too. Language is in lots of different parts of the brain. And it's, it's really interesting how language will make you do things a little differently. They tried letting people put their hand in ice water and they could tolerate it longer by using certain words. And that was interesting. But for this, if you think about using language that the person enjoys, or music that they enjoy, or presentations that they enjoy. So if my daughters, if I became confused, if they would put on a lecture about the brain, I'd probably sit there and be real quiet for a long time because I enjoy learning about the brain. So if you can find something that your loved one likes, especially say in Bryan Temple, people like music. They were very fascinated with our choirs. If you play those old time music, I think you'll find something that will give you a lot of support and comfort to, and it'll be comfort for them. Last question. You need the mic.
Part of me that's I'm connected to this for more than 50 years. And a lot of what really we can say is that music has the kind of attractive quality that, as you said, there's no culture or tradition that does not have music as a base, a palliative, as a base component of how the worldview is expressed within a particular group. And if it's not, let's say, have a pentatonic scale or something else that's relevant, particularly to Western music, there's a lot of traditions and history and daily behavior that's expressed both through music as well as people learn about a lot of things.
It's a graphic
So
card.
you hit it right on the head, Verda, that at the end of the day, we want to use your subject. We're always looking for ways that we can just really get to the core of it. And I think music plays a really big role in understanding, again, that even keel. Because just the fact that something is rhythm means it's great. So the great narrative, I think, provides a lot of value to understand how the brain reacts to the music. Just my 2 cents.
Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Full blown. late stage.
But when he got on that stage with Lady Gaga, he sang on his song.
And in rhythm. Absolutely. And that's one, it was familiar. And if you play music that they like, you'll have that same kind of response. And you saw the lady who was kicking her feet and shaking her head, and you brought back to her memories.
89-year-old Johnny Mathis.
Oh, Johnny Mathis was fabulous at 89 years old. He could barely walk on stage, but he knew all his lyrics. So it was wonderful. So that's it, folks. We finished. Thank you for your attention. I have a little gift for you because you were the first person who came. Is going to? No, not Dr. Lance. He's part of the lady in the. Okay, well, congratulations for being first. Okay, is there anything you want to say to end? Well, thank you all for coming. This is Bradley, okay? Thank you, thank you. What a wonderful blessing this was. Hopefully we've all learned something, and you take your packet home and share it if you need to. Reread it if you need to. Because this is a critical subject, and more and more, I'm seeing this more and more. I experienced it personally in my family. And at that time, the first time I experienced it, I didn't really have anything to relate it to. You know, later on, my mom ended up having it. Two of my brothers ended up having it. Yes, so later along the line, I became more familiar with those symptoms and what to do. But I appreciate this, Dr. Bradley, and thank you. Are there any more questions or comments before we close? And we have some visitors. Yes. Who invited you?
My name is That since high school. I really enjoyed it. Going through something for mom.
Okay. Yeah.
He has not been diagnosed, but I see a lot of so this can understand and handle things differently.
Yes,
My father
yes.
is still here too.
All right.
94, my mother is 88. So he's doing pretty good on a different. And
Thank you for sharing that, Kim.
my name is Susan Black, and I've been here.
Yes.
Bradley is a friend of mine, and she did a phenomenal job. As usual, very informative and insightful. Too. I've dealt with people that had Alzheimer's. You know, my great aunt had it, and when she first was, we were the ones who figured out because she worked till she was 80. I said she should have just worked until she died on the job, because once she stopped working, she was tired and she isolated herself. And you know, socialization is extremely important to keeping the mind alert. And I mean, it was hard to get her out of the house to come over for Christmas or whatever. And everything, you know, this information is really important, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, thank you for coming.
He said to me that you were very, very close. To stay connected, nobody knew it. So I was siding with her and I was angry at the sister.
So we have to remember not to get, it's hard not to get upset with them sometimes. And not to get angry, and as I've told others, they can't help it. It's not them, that's not the same person. So it does us, it just frustrates them and it makes you upset when you get angry back. You have to just take a break and relax and try to just be kind and loving, because it's a hard thing to deal with. Like I said, I know, I talked to a relative last night and she said, well, how's mom? I said, who is mom? She said, your mom. I said, oh my God. So I said, mom's gone. Mom's been gone a long time. And then she asked me a couple of other questions, so I didn't say anything, but I was gonna call her daughter later and ask her, but her daughter called me, Auntie, I'm so sorry. I said, yeah, I recognize that your mom is saying things like your son, she's gotta watch Tristan because he's gonna get into stuff. And I'm saying, Tristan's old and grown. So, you know, there's a little things that happen that we know you have to catch them soon, if you can, as Dr. Bradley said. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Pam, well, you're going through it.
Girl, wait a minute. So, just real quick,
Mhm.
lunch, and I'm gonna treat. I said, okay, let's go. We drive all the way to Black Angus. We get in there, she not home. I said, why did you? Well, I am. The bill come. Girl, I acted a fool. Look, I had to catch myself. She said, well, what you want me to do? But
Begin to hate her.
That's what you give anybody. I said, oh, wow.
Well, learn to keep up with their purses. And if you don't, because they tend to blame you for everything, right?
Yeah, when something is lost.
Something is lost, you did it.
Yes.
Yvonne? There's someone online that has a question?
I should tell my auntie, do not tell him why I'm cleaning him up that make him get mad. He got a hostility to let step, but I had to grab the cane, and she told me, I'm trying to take care of him, but you keep messing with him, what I'm trying to do. You don't want to be able to stay out the room and me take care of him. I wasn't getting paid, but that was my aunt. And she was married to him, mean to him when it.
You have to wrap it up.
Just
Hold on.
public service announcements real quick. One, the here, Dr. Brad is recorded, so you can see it on YouTube. Man, stand up for me, please. You. So you guys know, Vernon Avenue is.
New Bible study, yes.
Yeah.
Lesson leader for the two-time Bible study.
Yes.
She does a great job.
Yes, yes.
When he comes behind you that evening at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
So 5 o'clock on Tuesday or 6 P.M. Every other activities that we have.
And one more announcement, on Thursdays here at 6 p.m. for the next 3 Thursdays, Reverend Hugh has a mental health, a doctor coming in. She's a minister, she's awesomely qualified, but I came Thursday night just to support Hugh. It was so good. It's something we can all use.